There was a time when my inner world felt like a room filled with fog. The path forward was unclear, shrouded in a mist of self-doubt and creative stagnation. Each day felt like a repeat of the last, a cycle of unfulfilled intentions and quiet anxieties. I was searching for a lighthouse, a single beam of light to guide me back to myself. I knew a deeper, more authentic life was waiting for me, but I couldn't seem to find the door. The creative wellspring that had once nourished me felt dry, and I was desperately thirsty for inspiration, for a sign that I was still capable of growth and wonder. It was during this period of personal drought that I stumbled upon a simple yet profound quote. It said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." These words, spoken by Socrates centuries ago, landed with the force of a revelation. They echoed in the quiet corners of my mind, asking a gentle but persistent question. When was the last time I had truly examined my own life? When had I sat down with my own thoughts, not to judge them, but simply to listen? It was a wake-up call. I realized I had been living on the surface, avoiding the depths for fear of what I might find there. This simple realization was the catalyst for a profound change. I decided that I would no longer be a stranger to my own inner landscape. I needed a tool, a practice that would allow me to gently excavate my own thoughts and feelings. That is when I turned to the humble act of journaling. It wasn't about creating a masterpiece or writing for an audience. It was about creating a private, sacred space for myself. A space where I could be honest, messy, and completely unfiltered. The blank page became a mirror, one that promised to reflect not just who I was, but who I could become. The decision to begin was simple, yet it felt monumental. I went out and bought a simple notebook and a pen that felt good in my hand. There was no grand plan at first, only a commitment to show up for myself each day. I promised myself I would fill the pages, without expectation or criticism. This was not about performance, it was about presence. It was about honoring the Socratic wisdom that had found me when I needed it most. It was the beginning of a daily ritual that would slowly, page by page, clear the fog and lead me back to the vibrant, creative self I had lost. My daily journaling practice begins at dawn, with a ritual I call the morning pages. This is the cornerstone of my creative recovery. The rule is simple. As soon as I wake up, before my inner critic has had its first cup of coffee, I sit down and write 3 pages of longhand stream of consciousness prose. There is no wrong way to do morning pages. They are not meant to be art. They are not meant to be clever or insightful. They are simply a brain dump, a way of getting all the gunk out of my head and onto the page, making space for a clearer, more creative day. I write about anything and everything that crosses my mind. Petty complaints, worries about the day ahead, fragments of dreams, grocery lists, half-formed ideas, feelings of anger or joy, it all goes onto the page. The point is to keep the hand moving, to not censor or edit a single thought. This practice acts like a spiritual windshield wiper, clearing away the mental clutter that fogs our vision. It helps me to identify the nagging anxieties and repetitive thought loops that often run on autopilot in the background of my mind. By giving them a space to exist, I rob them of their power over my day. The act of writing by hand is crucial to this process. It connects the mind to the body in a way that typing on a keyboard simply cannot replicate. The slow, deliberate movement of the pen across the paper forces me to be present with my thoughts. It is a meditative act, a quiet conversation with my deeper self. Often, what starts as a jumble of anxieties and to-do lists will, by the 3rd page, give way to a surprising insight or a forgotten creative impulse. It is in this space, free from the pressure to be perfect, that genuine clarity begins to emerge. Once the 3 pages are complete, I close the notebook. And here's another important rule. I do not reread them, not for at least a few weeks. The morning pages are not for analysis or critique. They are for release. Their purpose is to be written, not to be read. This simple act of writing and letting go has become an essential part of my morning routine. It sets a tone of mindfulness and intentionality for the rest of the day, creating a clean slate from which I can approach my life and my work with greater presence and creativity. After the mental clearing of the morning pages, I transition to the second part of my daily practice, the gratitude list. This is a much simpler, more focused exercise. I take a moment to pause and consciously shift my perspective from what is wrong to what is right. On a fresh page in my journal, I write down 5 things I am grateful for. These are not always grand, life-altering blessings. More often than not, they are small, simple joys that I might otherwise overlook in the rush of the day. It is an intentional act of seeking out the good. The items on my list can be wonderfully mundane. I might write about the taste of my morning coffee, the warmth of the sun on my face, a kind word from a friend, or the comfort of my favorite sweater. The key is to be specific. Instead of just writing, "I'm grateful for nature," I might write, "I'm grateful for the sound of the rain tapping against my window pane." This specificity connects me more deeply to the experience and anchors the feeling of gratitude in my body. It trains my mind to become a detective for delight, constantly scanning my environment for small pockets of joy. This practice has fundamentally rewired the way I experience my daily life. Before, it was easy to get caught up in a cycle of complaint or to focus on what was lacking. The gratitude list acts as a powerful antidote to this negativity bias. It is a daily reminder that even on difficult days, there is always something to be thankful for. It cultivates a sense of abundance and contentment, showing me that my happiness does not depend on grand achievements or external circumstances. Joy can be found right here, in the present moment, if I only remember to look for it. Over time, this simple list has become more than just a routine. It has become a lens through which I see the world. It has softened my edges and opened my heart. It makes me more appreciative of the people and experiences that fill my life. By starting my day with an acknowledgement of the good, I create a positive emotional foundation that carries me forward. It is a small investment of time that pays enormous dividends in peace, resilience, and a deeper connection to the beauty of ordinary life. As the day draws to a close, I return to my journal for the final part of my ritual, the evening reflection. This practice is gentler and more introspective than the morning brain dump. It is a time to check in with myself, to review the events of the day, not with judgment, but with curiosity and compassion. I ask myself a few simple questions to guide my writing. What went well today? What was challenging? What did I learn about myself or the world? This is my opportunity to find the lessons and the silver linings from the past 12 hours. The purpose of this evening check-in is to process my experiences and emotions before I go to sleep. It prevents the mental residue of the day from following me into my dreams or carrying over into the next morning. If I had a difficult interaction, I can write about it to understand my feelings better. If I experienced a moment of unexpected joy or success, I can write about it to savor it and cement the positive memory. It is a way of closing the loop on the day, creating a sense of completion and peace before resting. This practice helps me to cultivate self-awareness in a very practical way. By consistently reviewing my days, I begin to see patterns in my behavior, my triggers, and my sources of strength. I might notice that I'm more productive in the morning, or that a certain activity consistently drains my energy. This is not about scolding myself for my shortcomings. It is about gathering data. It is information I can use to make better choices for myself tomorrow, to be kinder to myself, and to align my actions more closely with my values and goals. Ultimately, the evening reflection is an act of self-care. It is a quiet moment to honor my own journey with all its triumphs and stumbles. It says to my inner self, "I see you, I am listening. Your experience matters." This simple act of paying attention to my own life has brought a profound sense of calm and control. Instead of feeling like I am being tossed about by the currents of my days, I feel more like a gentle captain, navigating the waters with greater wisdom, kindness, and intention. It is the perfect, peaceful way to end the day. Embracing this 3-part journaling practice did not change my life overnight. The transformation was slow, subtle, and profound, like a landscape changing with the seasons. The first and most noticeable shift was a newfound sense of clarity. The morning pages acted like a foghorn, cutting through the mental mist and allowing me to hear my own voice more clearly. Decisions that once felt overwhelming became simpler because I was no longer entangled in a web of unexamined anxieties. I began to understand what I truly wanted, separate from the expectations of others. This clarity naturally led to a greater sense of emotional balance. By giving my feelings, both positive and negative, a space on the page, I learned to observe them without being consumed by them. The gratitude list buffered me against despair, while the evening reflection helped me process frustrations in a healthy way. I became less reactive and more responsive to life's challenges. My emotional world, once a stormy sea, began to feel more like a calm, deep lake. This emotional stability became a foundation upon which I could build a more intentional and joyful life. My productivity and creativity also began to flourish in surprising ways. By clearing my mind of clutter each morning, I freed up mental and creative energy for my work. Ideas that had been buried under layers of stress and self-doubt began to surface on their own. The act of writing every day, without pressure or judgment, reawakened my creative instincts. It was like exercising a muscle that had grown weak from disuse. The consistent practice of showing up to the page built a powerful momentum that spilled over into all areas of my creative life. Perhaps the most significant change was the growth in my self-confidence and self-compassion. The journal became a testament to my own resilience and growth. On difficult days, I could look back and see how I had navigated challenges before. The practice of writing my thoughts down and treating them with gentle curiosity taught me to be kinder to myself. I stopped seeing myself as a problem to be fixed and started seeing myself as a creative being on a journey of discovery. This compassionate relationship with myself is the greatest gift this practice has given me. If this journey resonates with you, I invite you to begin your own. You do not need anything fancy to start. Forget the pressure of finding the perfect leather-bound journal or the most expensive pen. A simple spiral notebook and a basic ballpoint pen are more than enough. The most important thing is to begin. Make the tools accessible and unintimidating. Keep your journal by your bedside so it is the first thing you see in the morning. The goal is to remove any friction that might stop you from showing up to the page. When you start, be gentle with yourself. Your first morning pages might feel awkward or silly. You might write, "I don't know what to write," over and over again, and that is perfectly fine. The goal is not to produce beautiful prose, it is simply to keep the pen moving. Similarly, your first gratitude lists might feel forced. That is okay. Just write down one thing. The next day, try for 2. Start small. The consistency of the practice is far more important than the quality or quantity of your writing in the beginning. Make the practice your own. While I have shared my 3-step method, feel free to adapt it to fit your life and your needs. Maybe you only have time for 1 page in the morning. Maybe you prefer to do your gratitude list at lunchtime. Perhaps you want to add drawings or doodles to your evening reflections. Your journal is your private sanctuary. There are no rules other than the ones you create for yourself. The key is to find a rhythm that feels supportive and sustainable for you, not one that feels like another chore on your to-do list. I encourage you to give it a try. Commit to just 1 week. See how it feels to carve out this small pocket of time for yourself each day. Journaling is one of the most powerful tools we have for self-discovery, creative recovery, and personal growth. It is a direct line to your own inner wisdom. The blank page is not empty. It is full of possibility. It is waiting for you to show up, to listen, and to begin the beautiful, courageous work of examining your own life. Your story is waiting to be written.